So now we're going to hear from our first group, which is going to be Decarcerate PA. And we're going to have Dana come up, talk for 3 to 5 minutes. And also, if you're from a community group which has not yet spoken to me and gotten on the list, the stack, please speak to me. I'll be over here.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to speak a little bit about Decarcerate PA. We're going to do a little collective reading, and then Emily is going to speak about one of the groups who's involved in Decarcerate PA, Books Through Bars, and connections there. So Decarcerate PA is a group of individuals and organizations, many of whom have been working on issues around prisons and mass incarceration for some time. There's about 20 to 25 active members. Some of us have been incarcerated. Many of us have family and friends and loved ones who are incarcerated. Many of us have been doing activist projects around prisons for quite some time. Projects around police brutality, around working with youth, keeping people out of prisons, reentry work, political prisoner work supporting people and improving conditions for people inside. But we came together under the banner of Decarcerate PA because we wanted to do something that was more radical and that was attempting to address a full transformation of the system by working for a moratorium on prisons and working on getting people who are in prison out of prisons. So right now, Pennsylvania wants to spend $685 million on building more prisons. And that we have. One of the reasons that they say is that our prisons are overcrowded, but building new prisons means having full prisons. Building more prisons is not a solution to overcrowding. Overcrowding is not caused... Overcrowding is not caused by an increase in crime. Overcrowding is caused by the policing of communities and identities in the city and in general, right? By things like stop and frisk and the curfew law, by targeting poor communities, people who are homeless, Black and Latino communities in particular, LGBTQ and gender non-conforming people, by targeting people and policing for the sake of the 1%, right? Not for the rest of us. So maybe even for the 25%. So our prisons are also overcrowded because we have things like life without parole in Pennsylvania. We try youth as adults in Pennsylvania, and we give youth life in prison. So these are our prisons are overcrowded because we're spending $685 million right now on increasing prisons rather than spending it on jobs, housing, school, and so many other things that build strong, sustainable communities. So that's why we're here together, and that's why we're here with all of you, because this is all one struggle. And so this right here is a bid that a lot of us here at Occupy went and delivered to Hill International, which is an international corporation that is overseeing the construction of the expansion of Graterford Prison. So this was our bid to the management of Hill. Wait a minute. Oh, one more minute. So we just wanted, this is where we think the priorities should be. This is where we want that money to be spent that's going into building more prisons. So we thought that we could just read this all together now. So if you'll join me. I can't see it, so I really need you all to read it.
We propose that PA build communities, not prisons. Quality schools, jobs and job training, community-based reentry, health care for all, stable housing, access to healthy food, and restorative forms of justice.
Woo! Yay! Thank you, everybody.
The next group is going to be Books Through Bars, and we have Emily coming up. Also, for those who are sticking around, if you want to sit down, it might be more cozy that way, keep warm close together.
Hey. I'm just going to make 2 or 3 really quick points. Actually, Decarcerate PA represents a huge range of groups, and a lot of us were also asked to come individually, so we just wanted to sort of show that it's also made up the Institute for Community Justice, of folks who work for the Human Rights Coalition, of folks from a huge range of stuff that have been trying to do this work from a lot of different angles. Dana really clearly talked about the first point of like our imaginations in terms of what else we could prioritize and how we could use our money. Anytime you talk about incarceration and the prison industrial complex, you immediately come into that question of priorities. And in Decarcerate PA, we've been focusing on that $685 million figure as one that's active right now, but we could choose any huge range of numbers to show what it means in terms of misplaced funding and a lack of support and caring for the set of individuals that make up Pennsylvania. The thing we also, to speak a little bit to, it seems like one of the strengths of the capacity of the Occupy movement is to be able to see these larger tendencies above and beyond specific policies, and to draw those connections of both gross oppression and negligence of some communities and gross privileging of others, and that this analysis in and of itself is important, and we need to keep practicing it together. And that prisons are a huge space in which to perform that, but they're not the only space to perform it. So one of the exciting things about speaking here is seeing how the tendencies towards mass incarceration are not unlike the tendencies towards mass impoverization or a whole series of other mass things that we could talk about. In this sense, prisons themselves, the prison system, are a model, a terrible model of the intersectionality of oppressions of class, race, gender, and sexuality that are pervasive here in the United States. In contrast, anti-prisoning organizing has the potential to be a model of strategizing to fight those interlocking oppressions. The exciting thing about Occupy is so could it be if we do that work together. Both the anti-prison organizing movement and the Occupy movement has some work to do to live up to that potential, but we do have the capacity to fulfill that potential. The third question in terms of what can we do even without money, some of us were really looking to that question and saying there are a million things we can do, and specifically in relation to incarceration, but not only there, is that as communities and as individuals without any money whatsoever, we could decide to end stigmatization, and we could not perpetuate the very tendencies that are being performed by the state institutions and state things. We could talk, hopefully in those small groups, about what the specific practices that could take, but we could hire each other. We could support each other. We could provide each other resources, etc. And the reality is that we are better equipped than the criminal justice system to end rather than escalate both violence in our communities and the daily state violence that is perpetuated against us. That could be the Occupy movement's contribution as well. Thanks.
Awesome.